Hello guys, welcome back to BoreDraw, episode number 70. The moustaches, they're coming along.
I was trying to do that Thierry Henry thing. Do you know where he's like...
The lip quiver.
I can't do it.
But yeah, the moustaches are coming along, guys. Episode 70.
Come on.
We're nearly at 100. That's mad. And yeah, it's been an amazing weekend of football. But before we get into the football, if you do want to donate to our Movember cause, everything you need to know is down below. And watch this little clip.
It's Movember, baby!
Here on BoreDraw, we're supporting a different kind of match this year. A match between men and their mental health.
Globally, 3 out of every 4 suicides are men. That's why we're doing Movember this year.
As guys, we're not always great at speaking our minds and telling our mates how we feel.
It's all about creating a safe space where we feel comfortable to tell our pals how we feel and seek help when needed.
If you want to support Movember through us,
check out the links in our descriptions, follow us on the socials. We'll be putting out loads of Movember content just to raise awareness for such an important cause. Shout out Movember, mate.
shout out Movember.
Scan the QR code.
And we're back.
Bosh. I feel like right now, I look like if there was like a Netflix documentary on like a serial killer, before he became like the serial killer, that's what I look like right now.
We just look like our sort of like, if we worked in a cartel maybe.
Yeah, I don't like it. But here we are. It's all for a good cause.
But this is day 6.
Day 6. The growth is real.
So it's not, I thought it could be worse. It could be worse.
Talking of exponential growth, shout out to the 5,000 subscribers sitting and watching.
5,000
Come
strong.
on.
That is nuts.
That's nuts.
Yeah, we were literally at like 1,000 at the beginning of October. And we're on the 6th of November. And we're
What's
at
growing
5,000.
quicker, our moustaches or our subscriber count?
I know which one I like more.
Yeah, moustache.
Hold your horses. This is an emergency addition to the podcast. We recorded everything you're about to see after this segment on Monday 6th, before the events that transpired at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium between Tottenham and Chelsea, in a game which blew both our minds and the collective minds of probably every football fan around the world. It was a game with, I think, like 10 different VAR interventions. There were, 4 or 5 disallowed goals. It was mental. There were 2 sending offs.
Big game.
The greatest game of the season so far.
Easily.
And perhaps the greatest game in VAR's history in terms of how many interventions there were. But we're, of course, talking about Tottenham 1, Chelsea 4. Roz, kick us off. Talk to us about the start of the game. Kulusevski getting on the score sheet.
Tottenham's unbeaten run is over. We love to see it. Nah, I'm joking. Spurs started off the game good. I think this isn't outlandish to say. If there was no red cards and the game was played how the first 10, 15 minutes was before the Udogie challenge, which we'll get onto, because that was kind of like we was speaking about the Havertz challenge, and that kind of like kick-started the Arsenal versus Newcastle game. The Udogie challenge in this game kind of just kick-started the fire that was brewing in this game. But before that, Spurs were all over Chelsea. And I think it's not outlandish to say that if the game stayed like that, Spurs would have battered Chelsea, in my opinion. Because Chelsea were terrible this whole game. And Spurs were electric. The first quarter of an hour, best performance I've seen in a while. Oh, here he is. And so I think, the Udogie challenge kind of kick-started the game. But that first quarter of an hour where Spurs scored the goal and then got another one disallowed, electric football from Spurs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That Kulusevski goal was just attacking, transitioning to perfection. They had Chelsea's number in that first sort of 10, 15 minutes. Kulusevski obviously scores. I think Son had one disallowed. Yeah. And then we have a event where up the pitch, I think Romero and is it Colwell?
Yeah. This was just after the Udogie challenge.
So yeah,
the Udogie challenge. Did you see the Udogie challenge?
Yes. So the Udogie challenge, yeah. So he sort of did the same thing that Havertz did, where
defo worse.
Yeah, it was worse.
More of a 2-footer. He won the ball completely, which Neville was saying in commentary was his like saving grace, because if he didn't get the ball at all, that's a straight red. Neville was actually on one this game. Every tackle, he was like, just kind of like shitting himself.
Couldn't shut him up.
Yeah,
between him and Carragher, they were just kept falling back on the fact that they were great defenders and that they couldn't get away with these challenges. And it's fair enough. I mean, they're going to know obviously more than we do as couch pundits, but
Never.
For me, it was dangerous. He was lucky to get away with a yellow card for that. But it sort of did kick into action the sort of ferocity in the game, where it wasn't really there before. We saw a event up the pitch where Romero kicks out at Levi Colwill off the ball, literally completely up the other end of the pitch. It's a very menial kick. He doesn't really do any damage. But Colwill takes the opportunity and goes down. And for me,
VAR
Romero was
saying that like there was no excessive force. It was more petulance rather than excessive violence, which I get. But like,
so what, you can go around like flicking like people's ears on the pitch and like just walk around, give him like a little titty twister.
Come on,
do you know what I mean? Like that's not excessively violent, but when like it's off the ball.
Yeah,
you're meant to be, and at the end of the day, like you're a role model. Yeah, this game's being televised to hundreds of thousands of people. Could be kids watching that. They think it's okay to do it in a Sunday league game or something.
Yeah,
it's petulant. It's stupid, and like, why are we not punishing players for this?
He's a bozo, mate, and it's like mental that no one in the Spurs team kind of looked at him after he did that and was like, "Calm down. We're dominating this game. Last thing we need is Udogie's just got off of a potentially red card tackle. He's got off lightly. Last thing we need is you go in and get red carded.
And you're 1-0 up.
Yeah, exactly. It's nuts.
Yeah, for me, Spurs were the masters of their own downfall this game. We'll move on to the challenge because Caicedo scores, doesn't he?
That whole passage of play is nuts. Where like, so no, at this point. And Sterling already scored, but he'd like handballed it. Oh yes, that was in the Romero tackle thing, I think, where it like they went back and he'd like handballed it for the goal. But yeah, the Caicedo goal, he kind of shoots. It goes through Thiago Silva's legs, and so they use Thiago Silva to say that Vicario can't see the passage of the ball, so they disallow it. But before Caicedo gets the ball. I think Van der Ven's made a tackle and Romero's made a tackle in the box. The Romero tackle is mental. Where do you stand on it? I've seen a lot of people say he won the ball, which he did. But the follow through is, in my opinion, nuts. Like,
yeah, for me, it's dangerous and it's uncontrolled. I know he wins the ball.
Yeah,
but I think it's excessive force in that scenario. It's not a controlled winning of the ball. You can win the ball, and you don't have to win the ball cleanly every time. But he is swiping through that, and for me it's
so high up.
I don't like it because I don't want to be at a point where we're taking away where you can win the ball with hard tackles but cleanly. But you've got to get it right. And I think 100%. If VAR don't send him off for this and don't award the penalty, it sets a very dangerous precedent for the rest of the teams in the Premier League.
Yeah. 100%.
But yeah, for me, they've got to protect the players. I don't know. Yeah,
and at that point, the Spurs players had absolutely lost their heads as well. Like tackles are flying in. The heat of the game was like at an all-time high, and like I think someone needed to get sent off to kind of calm everybody down because there was tackles flying in, and I was thinking, Jesus Christ, like someone's going to break a leg here. And Romero was losing his cool. Colwill, he got subbed off at halftime because he completely lost his nut. So yeah, it was a mental one.
Yeah, 100% agree. Obviously Chelsea go on to score from that penalty. Cole Palmer getting his like 5th goal of the season or something.
Yeah, I think so, something like that.
But yeah, it went from bad to worse for Spurs, who lost Mickey van der Ven to a hamstring injury, and then also lost James Maddison for an ankle problem, which was, I think, before half-time.
Yeah, it was a nightmare for Spurs, because I've seen a lot of people say that Spurs are good as long as they've got their starting 11. Their depth is terrible. And so to lose 4 starters this game, their next few fixtures are going to be ones to watch, to say the least.
Yeah, I think they ended the game with 3 outfield players that started the game on the pitch. I think Porro, Basuma and Son.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a nightmare. It was just a complete mess from minute 15 onwards for them. And to be honest, it was completely down to their own doing. They got egged into it by Chelsea. They fell apart, which is surprising. I didn't expect that from an Ange team. But they went down to like 10 men and they kept up the press. They were still pressing high, which I respect. They went down to 9 men and they were still doing it. But there was one man who I want to talk about who I thought, even though he conceded 4 goals, was absolutely outstanding.
Let's talk about him. He was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't think he had that kind of sweeper keeper vibe in him. I thought he was just a good shot stopper, pretty unexciting. But yeah, no, he was actually really good.
Yeah, you've been a little bit hesitant,
a hater, to say the least.
And you texted me last night during the game. He said this Vicario is good, and for 17 million, yeah, he's proved to be a shrewd bit of business. It'd be interesting to see how they go on from here with him. But yeah, like you say, going on to their next couple of games, I don't actually know who they've got, but like they're lucky.
I think they've got Wolves next, and then they've got a big game. It might be Newcastle. Is it Wolves and Newcastle?
Oh, fine. I'll try to find out. But they've got international break after the Wolves game, which could be a little bit of relief for the likes of Mickey van der Ven and James Maddison. They've got Aston Villa at home on the 26th, followed by Man City away. So it could spell trouble for them. We could see them. We spoke about this before. It'd be interesting to see how Spurs perform after they hit a speed bump in their sort of season. It's all well and good when you're flying, but then you got to see how you can react to defeat and to avert the adversity that the Premier League throws at you.
2 things I want to talk about.
Go on.
The high line. Where do you stand on this high line? Because I put a poll out on the BoreDraw socials. Check it out. Was it stupid or was it kind of commendable to stick to your game plan? Because the entire second half, Chelsea pretty much played 45 minutes of just a training ground drill where everybody starts on the halfway line and the attacking team just have to pass it about and wait for an offensive opening, and then they all attack and everybody runs towards the goal. And I tweeted it as well. I was saying Spurs are so lucky that Chelsea are shit, because any semi-competent team would see that the high line was mental. All you got to do is pass it about for a bit, suck them in, and then knock it over the top, which Chelsea did about 3 times. It got them 3 goals. But it's mental that it took them so long to kind of break this Tottenham team down.
Yeah, for me, Chelsea were really poor.
So bad.
Really, really poor. I think Tottenham ended the game with like Højbjerg and Dyer as their centre-back pairing.
Which is mental.
Yeah, the high line, I respected it when they went down to 10 men because you could still do it. You could still perform. They took off Brennan Johnson and brought Dyer on, which was fine.
Even saw they had quite a lot of chances with the 10 men and the 9 men. They had a couple of chances.
It just goes mate, Eric Dyer, that finish for the disallowed goal at the end. Unbelievable finish. I felt sorry for him because they were reviewing it and they were like, did Bentancur head it onto the Chelsea player?
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was close as well. Cucurella, I think, or something.
Yeah, it was
maybe
so close. I was sitting in bed like, Jesus Christ, they've actually gone and fucking scored the winner here. But
yeah, for me, I respected it, and then it went down to 9 men. They kept it up, and I thought this isn't the plan now. You've got you can drop the line a bit. You don't have to completely sit off.
It was literally on the halfway line. It was mental.
And you got Dyer and Højbjerg, who have nothing in the tank. They have no legs or like any speed between them. And you've got the likes of Raheem Sterling, Michael Mudryk on the pitch.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to happen. Like, you're asking for trouble. Nicholas Jackson is fortunate that he had about 400 opportunities. He's a donkey. He's probably the worst.
Bad,
he might be the worst striker to score a hat trick in the Premier League ever.
Genuinely,
he is rubbish.
I feel like I could have played up front in that game. All you had to do is just wait for a through ball and time your run right, and you're in every single time. It was mental that it took them so long to break them down.
Mate, it was unreal. I don't really have anything else to say on it. Tottenham are going to be in trouble for the next few games if they don't have Maddison, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, 4 of their highlight players this season. I'd argue that Van de Ven and Maddison have been their two best players this season.
Yeah, I agree.
Even behind, like Son's obviously been electric. Basuma's had a resurgent season. Udogi's been a starlet. But for me, yeah, it's they're in trouble now, and it'd be telling to see. But they're lucky they've got the likes of Bentancur back. That could be a nice little switch up in style. Maybe play a little bit more possession based in this high press that they've gone for.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
But they're losing Richarlison.
Oh yeah, did you see he's having like a pubic surgery?
I didn't know that was the case. I didn't know it was pubic, but yeah, all right. Sweet.
Yeah. What did you think of Ange's post-match press conference saying that managers try and find ways to bend the rules? We should kind of let the officials do the officiating, and managers should kind of steer clear.
I agree with him to an extent, and I think I agree with the onus and what he's trying to say. But the part I disagree with is like we have to hold people accountable for their decisions.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're not just anyone. They're not like. This is their job, and they've made changes to the game that weren't entirely popular. People were calling VAR, and then people weren't calling VAR. It was sort of a mixed sort of decision. But we have to hold people accountable for their bad decisions, and it's fair enough. But I thought VAR was actually really good last night, and I agree with what he's saying, is that we've got to show the referee some respect, because at the end of the day, if we don't do that, it's going to end up being officiated by someone 400 miles away.
I agree. I think my 2 cents on Ange's statement is that it's very easy to back the referees when you get all the decisions. In my opinion, like you said, the VAR was quite good that game. Spurs were lucky. They could have had a red card before Udogi got sent off. They could have had a red card before Romero got sent off. And then Chelsea's goal got disallowed. So they got a lot of decisions in their favour. Spurs also got the decision against Liverpool to win them that game. So Spurs haven't really this season under Ange been on the wrong end of like a VAR decision. Like this game, they got piped 4-1. It could have been more. There's nothing really Ange can say against VAR. I'll be interested to see down the line if there's a game where it's literally like one make or break decision makes Spurs lose the game. One make or break VAR decision loses Spurs the game. I'd be interested to see his reaction then.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, we thank you for listening to this little interruption. We're going to go straight back to your regularly scheduled podcast. But yeah, this weekend was an amazing weekend of football. A lot of upsets.
Don't want to talk about it.
The equilibrium.
That's the end of the podcast.
Shook.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, it was. Oh, mate. I as a neutral, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so we're talking about the Newcastle Arsenal game. It was a game of.
It was intense. There was a lot of intensity in that game.
It was a different game to the Arsenal-Man City game, which was also a 1-0, but that was kind of like a tactical, that was like a chess game. This was like a fucking mosh pit.
This was a battle of grit and determination.
It was less tactics and more just physicality and kind of just, who would want it more, refereeing decisions. Well, yeah, it was a bit of a...
If you go to St. James's Park
rock and roll,
you get drawn into a game of physicality and a proper battle, you have to do the most to win, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to lose that.
Yeah,
we saw it happen to PSG.
Facts.
We saw it, like, you get drawn into it. That St. James's Park crowd gets on you, and then you're battling the uphill as well, mate. That 2 meter hill. That's heavy on your legs.
I'm going to say everything that I say in this podcast is through Arsenal tinted glasses, so take it with a pinch of salt.
Don't worry, I'm here as the great equaliser.
Yeah, come on. But yeah, this game was very rock and roll. If the Arsenal City game was a nice classical number, this was rock and roll, mate.
Yeah.
This was rock and roll football. And I think it all stemmed, because the game was kind of placid.
It was simmering.
It was placid, but you could tell there was an undercurrent of kind of someone wants to chin someone. And then Kai Havertz put in a pretty rowdy tackle. And I think that's where this whole game kind of just exploded. The tackle in itself is a bad one. It's a yellow card.
About the one on Longstaff.
Yeah. It's a yellow card, nothing more. I like people that are using the freeze frame. Sky Sports use this actual freeze frame where it looks like Havertz's like tackling leg is like 7 miles up Sean Longstaff's leg and ready to break it. When actually, if you watch the game, that leg doesn't even make contact. It's the trailing leg that takes out Sean Longstaff.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest though,
Go on, hit me.
It's an unnecessary challenge.
It is
in that part of the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think if you get given a red card as the on-field decision, I don't think that gets overturned, because for me,
I think
it's unnecessary.
It is.
Regardless of whether he makes contact or not, does he have to break Sean Longstaff's leg or ankle to get given a red card?
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Let's put a pin in the unnecessary comment, because I'm going to reuse that one later for point 2 I've got over here. But yeah, so that tackle kind of started the eruption, the volcanic eruption that was this game. I think that game, that tackle, Kai Havertz obviously got the yellow for the tackle, and then 3 Newcastle players also got booked for getting in the referee's grill.
All 3, which I had none of in my to get booked bet.
Same. I had such a good bet. I was like, oh yeah, Jorginho will get booked. Oh yeah, bloody Ben White will get booked. None of them got booked, but there was about 17 yellow cards in this game.
Yeah, it was everyone but the ones I picked, which is great. But yeah, the tackle was sort of, we saw it in the Liverpool game last season, where that Xhaka tackle on Trent is what got the Liverpool crowd up and going, and then it put Arsenal on the back foot for the majority of the game. Same thing happened here, perhaps to a lesser extent, but the tackle, in my opinion, was reckless and unnecessary. But I feel like for the good of the game, maybe we should be happy that it wasn't a red card. Yeah. Because otherwise the game would have been a bigger stinker than it even was.
Kai Havertz, I thought, had quite a good game, but we'll get on to that after.
The next point in the game, which caused a lot of controversy.
And this is, I think, goal aside, this, I think, is a bigger kind of VAR and PGMOL tragedy than the actual goal. Bruno Guimaraes, who the whole game
he was on one,
lost his head the moment that Kai Havertz tackle went in. I think he got booked for complaining in that tackle, and then he went squared up to Declan Rice, got him by the throat and threw him on the floor, and then literally nothing happened there, and then a couple minutes later, dashed Jorginho, and then as Jorginho was getting up, fucking elbowed him in the back of the head.
For me, Bruno was, regardless of the elbow, lucky to stay on the pitch.
Mate, he had about 4 challenges that should have been close to a red.
And for me, it's unnecessary.
That's it. Let's re-put in
there. Yeah, no, we have to be fair, and we can't be hypocrites here. If the law of the game, it's unnecessary. It's off the ball. Yeah, it's not even in play.
No,
and he catches him in the back of the head. He
knows what he's doing.
It's clearly not accidental.
Yeah,
it's not like was it Mane who got sent off like an accidental turn, or like Son or someone, I can't remember.
Yeah, there's been a couple of like accidental ones, but this one he like moves his hand to Jorginho's head.
Yeah, it's clear and it's obvious, and I don't really know why.
Yeah,
that's not been. At least it's a yellow for me. I don't know if it's as endangering as a Kai Havertz tackle, but at least Kai Havertz tackle has some context. The ball's in play. He's making a tackle on a player.
This is off the ball. Off the ball. By the PGMOL law, this is a red card. It's, what is it? Violent misconduct. And that is it. It doesn't matter the force that's used, doesn't matter bish bash bosh. He's raised his arm.
If he'd done it in the face and not the back of the head, does this get given as a red?
Back of the head is arguably worse. Have you seen the stories of people that get hit in the back of the head?
The boxer that got hit, yeah. And like, it is, but like maybe it's because it's less sort of like obvious. But yeah, for me that's also a red card, and I think both teams should have been down to 10 men within the first half.
And that would have been spicy. But let's move on to the main talking point, which is what's got Arteta's knickers in a twist.
Anthony, what's your as an Arsenal fan? Give me your play-by-play opinion. I would like to say, I do like how I think it took 4 minutes and like 30 seconds for this to go from the point of being a decision being the goal going in and then the decision being made where to give it. I think it was like 4.5 minutes nearly. But there were three instances which were reviewed by VAR.
Yeah.
I do like how they shouted out what was going on at the time in the stadium. We knew that they were checking first for out of play, then on offside, a foul, then an offside.
Yeah.
Which was good, but a little bit of transparency there. But as an Arsenal fan, talk me through it.
Right. So the ball seems to go out. Joe Willock keeps it in. Let's talk about that one then.
Let's just phrase this as well. Let's just clarify. The on-field decision straight away was a goal.
Yes.
So VAR would have been attempted to find evidence to overturn that decision.
Yes, that's a good point. So they couldn't prove that the ball went out of play. The angle that is going around on Twitter, it looks out of play from that angle, but obviously ball is a sphere, and you've seen a million people do like this looks...
The bit of tape.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, fucking... Everybody knows how a sphere works, apparently, but...
Your opinion? Is it out of play?
I don't know. Nobody can know.
Fine.
My opinion is, how the fuck in the modern day can we not have a camera angle that makes that ball
I don't
figure
even
out?
think you need a camera angle. You just the lasers that they use for the goal line technology. Why can't they extend that round the borders of the pitch?
Because
I understand that you can't have like little like diodes popping up out the pitch because they're like a hazard if someone like falls on it or trips on it.
But you definitely
But
just
mate,
could.
you could definitely have a camera set up so like you can have cameras around the perimeter like of the stadium or somewhere that you can use.
Yeah,
like, I don't
100%.
Or like you literally have cameras that just focus from the line to the goal.
Yeah.
You'd be able to tell 100% of the time.
And another one, this kind of leads into another one of the points. It's like, how can we, in the best league in the world, which is what Arteta's saying, not have the most complete technology? Because if we move later on, so let's say Joe Willock keeps this ball in. He dribbles to the edge of the box. I don't know how no Arsenal player's pressing him. He dribbles like unchallenged into the box. And then dinks a ball over David Raya. Pretty poor from David Raya.
He flaps it, doesn't he?
And
Are you
then
moving on to the next point already?
yeah,
I wanted to say we've seen instances of when the ball looks to be out of play. Like I believe Matoma in the World Cup, there was a point where he kept it in and that looked well out of play. We've seen it before. The Marcus Rashford one, I think, is more obvious than this. This one we have like a really bad angle.
Yeah,
and because there is no clear and conclusive evidence to say that it's out of play,
you go with the attacking.
Then you have to go with the on-field decision,
which is so poor. Like
it is.
My grievance on that one isn't with the decision; it's with like the lack of technology.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of Arteta's comments, which we'll get onto, are being misconstrued. But we move on to the second phase of this VAR
debacle. Dinks it over David Raya, and then behind David Raya is Gabriel, like stooping down to header it clear, and Joe Linton behind him, pushing him in the back.
Can we put a footnote on David Raya because I want to come back to him in a minute.
Yeah, let's come back to that clown. So yeah, Joe Linton pushing Gabriel in the back. Do you think it's a foul? Because I do.
I think I've watched this a lot actually. I bookmarked it on my Twitter for today.
Yeah,
and I've watched it. I was sat just watching this. And for me, if I watch it from two different angles, even in slow motion where fouls look worse, I think Gabriel's diving for the header first.
Yeah, he is.
He's diving for the header, and I think he misses the header. I think he misses the header.
But does he miss the header because he's got hands on his back?
For me, I don't think it's... like you don't see the force of the push. Like it looks like he's just got his arm on the back of him, which isn't a foul. It's not like any contact. For me, and I if Gabriel stays on his feet and doesn't make the header, he stops that ball. So for me, I don't think it's a foul. I think you'd be very unlucky to have that. It's not a clear and obvious error.
Yeah, I get that.
In real time, it looks you're going to see it from whatever team you're supporting on the day. For me as a neutral, I think it'd be a worse decision for that to be overturned, to overturn the on-field decision because of that, than it is to have carried on how they went for it. I think you can look at that from both ways, but for me, I don't personally think it's a foul. I think Gabriel's diving, his legs, both his feet are off the floor. If he's pushed, you put like a foot forward to... I know what you're saying, like if he's mid-air already and then he's pushed, but you'd see that like somewhat. His body doesn't arch forward. He's flat and his body's like a pencil. He misses it. He misses the ball. And Joe Linton almost like handballs it, accidentally handballs it.
Next point, does he handball it?
The view of the ball's obstructed.
Which is another issue. Like how can there be goal line technology? How can there be a fourth official on the line or a fifth official, whoever it is, and the view of... Because then that leads into the offside decision. They can't conclusively say that Anthony Gordon's on or offside.
Well, because the ball is obstructed by Gabriel, which is obstructed by Joe Linton. So you can never tell. But that's the reason it's not being given it's not been overturned because the evidence is not clear and obvious. For me, the goal should have stood. The on-field decision was correct, but we will never know. But if we're overturning things because we think it might be offside, or we think he's fouled, or we think the ball was out of play, then we've literally just reduced it to a game of guesswork, which is what 100%. We had before. But I think even if we had no VAR, that goal's given. I think that goal is given.
Yeah, because it was given anyway. Yeah, I can see what you mean.
There'll be circumstances, and it's very easy to feel hard done by when it happens and you lose a game of this magnitude. But there'll be times this season where it will go for you.
Not for Arsenal.
Yeah, of course it will,
No,
mate.
I'm joking.
Of course it will. But yeah, we'll move on quickly to Arteta's point. Yeah.
Yeah. So Arteta said, he went out on a banger, and he said that PGMOL are a disgrace. How can this be the best league in the world when we don't have the best referees and the best officials and the best system? Where do you stand on his rant?
I agree. I think the standard of refereeing is very poor. Alan Shearer today on the Rest of Football podcast said that the occasion was too big for the referee.
Yeah,
I agree. I think booking 3 Newcastle players in that one interlude was ridiculous. And yeah, I just think he let the game spiral out of control. A top referee within that first incident or the Havertz tackle would have dealt with it in a much more decisive and controlled manner. But I think there's a great layer of hypocrisy about Arteta's comments.
Oh, talk to me.
How do you go from 5 weeks ago, the statements he made about the Liverpool the decision in the Liverpool Spurs game, saying that this is just part of it, and sort of like the referees aren't trying to ruin the game. They're going to be mistakes. It's human error. We have to accept these things. To then saying, and I know what his point is. He's saying, well, we're playing the best league in the world. Why can't we have all the technology? We shouldn't have these issues, which is a point. But how do you go from that to from saying that we must accept these errors?
Yeah.
To
no, I totally agree. See what you mean. It's obviously a case of, I think everybody just loses objectivity when it's their team, and
especially when it's a game. It's not like they're playing, no offense, but Sheffield United.
Yeah. This
is a top 4 potentially title challenge.
Yeah.
So,
and another thing I want to talk about, I've got a couple more things I want to get through in this game. On the refereeing decisions, Arsenal against Man City, Kovacic should have been sent off. But we don't talk about that because Arsenal won the game.
Mm-hmm.
Do we talk about the refereeing decisions in this game if it's... Would Arteta rant if Arsenal win this game? Like, say the goal stood, but we scored 2 more.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
I don't think you would.
So, we said it's a fickle game, and maybe everybody needs to...
I don't think people can be too harsh on Arteta because of his hypocrisy.
No.
Obviously, like fans...
And they caught him in the heat at the moment.
And Man United and City and Tottenham are going to call him out on it because that's just what they do. The bit that I hated the most was that Arsenal came out and then said they had to put out a club statement.
Yeah, the club statement's a bit sus.
It was tin pots as anything. To come out and say, we back the manager, are fine, but you don't really need to say that because we know you're going to back your manager. You're not going to come out and go, what is Mikel saying? And then for them to be like, we expect an apology from PGMOL. Well, the evidence is there in front of you. It's not clear. It's not obvious. It is what it is. It sucks to lose games like this. But also, you had the chance on that pitch to score a goal, but you didn't.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of people say that Arsenal was so poor that even if the goal didn't stand, they would have got nothing out of this game anyway. That doesn't mean that you're not allowed to complain about it, though. Just because you played the game and you were poor, you're not allowed to complain about the officials. Because that's irrelevant. That is kind of like you're taking on like a 12th man at this point.
The game changes the whole dynamic, whether a goal stands or not. If VAR intervene and send Havertz off, intervene and send Bruno off, there's too many ifs, buts, and maybes. You can only deal with what's put on the table.
Yes. So I've got 2 more things. Rank in terms of how poor the decisions were. From that is a clear fuck up by PGMOL to, yeah, we can see why that was given. Havertz tackle, Bruno punch, and Anthony Gordon goal.
For me, the Bruno challenge is the top. I think Havertz is not far behind, minimally behind. But the Bruno one is clear, and it is. I don't understand how that's not been picked up. I'm surprised that nothing's been done retroactively. The Anthony Gordon one, like I said, I think I said my points fairly clearly.
So clearly,
I don't think there's anything else could be done in that time and day. There's nothing else that could be done at that point. They didn't have the cameras. They should, but they didn't.
Yeah,
it's not a thing that's been implemented across the Premier League. It brings into question whether that will be implemented. Mate, you've got international break in the next couple of weeks. That's a good time.
It's got to the system either has to go full robots kind of technology everywhere, all the lines you can possibly get, or scrap it all and go back to no VAR at all. Because this kind of like purgatory that we're in.
They're trying to make it work with what they have. Like,
yeah, we're in like this purgatory where literally every single week there's a VAR headline.
Mate, if you saw the state of our setup, outside of the frame, you'd be like, but every week we're trying to make it better. You know, we're not resting on our laurels.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to talk about. I know. What's your second point?
My second point, mine's a bit more of a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, so maybe we should go with you first and then end on mine.
I've seen a lot of people saying, how have Arsenal got Aaron Ramsdale, replaced Aaron Ramsdale, and then ended up with 2 second tier keepers?
Yeah, I think Poet said that.
Maybe that's where I saw it.
Yeah.
Maybe did he tweet it?
I think he said something like, how can Arsenal have 2 number 2s?
Yeah, no, well, yeah. They're not, because if you go to like any team outside the top 6, they probably start for it, like most teams.
Yeah, quite a few of the top 6 teams, I reckon they start as well.
They're not starting. I don't know.
Chelsea,
arguably,
he walks into both of them.
Yeah,
both
of them for Chelsea.
And I say both of them walk into Spurs team.
I don't know. Vicario's good.
Yeah, I do like Vicario.
You've got a bit of an agenda against Vicario,
which I shouldn't, because he's my Italian brethren.
He's a Rio man.
Yeah, come on.
But he's done nothing but disprove you this whole season.
It's a Spurs thing.
Yeah. So for me, I like him.
Yeah, but who else?
Does he start over Onana, who had a fairly decent game actually?
I think they both do though.
He had a very decent game.
And we didn't in the tier list say they were above Nick Pope, but we got actual heaters for our Nick Pope ranking.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like Nick Pope.
Yeah. Or no, they like him.
No, we've got a lot of people saying he's dog.
I saw the opposite.
Oh.
I saw a couple of Newcastle fans saying he's won us many points this season.
Oh, mate, yeah, have a read. There's a lot of haters.
But for me, it's something that needs to be brought into question. Raya, for me, is at fault for the whole goal. Regardless of if someone had closed down Willock on the edge of the box before he makes the cross in, or if Gabriel shouldn't have dove, or whether he's pushed or what. Raya comes and flaps at it and puts Gabriel under that pressure. He's the reason Gabriel either misses the header or Joe Linton misses the header.
Yeah.
Because he flaps it. And he does 100%. That a lot. He's done that a couple of times against City.
He does. But I want to preface this by saying there's a lot of times where I see crosses come in and he claims them so often and so regularly. And he is so much more aggressive at coming out and claiming crosses compared to Ramsdale. Yeah. So I think a lot of those chances that he is catching, those become bigger chances if Ramsdale's in goal. But I get your point.
But for me, it's... I don't know. You let your defenders do that. If he's coming from... And that's not even... It wasn't even a hard ball. I just don't think he expected the cross or something. Yeah. Because it's not far out from him. And he fraps and he misses it by a good bit. For me, like, your season might come down to this decision by Arteta to have the 2 keeper switch. I don't know. It might come down to that. If you get rid of Ramsdale, and who's your backup keeper after Ramsdale?
Carl Hein.
Yeah, if you get rid of Ramsdale, then I just think I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. It's a weird situation. I don't know about the 45 million. Is it for Raya after the loan?
Oh no, I think it's like 28.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah,
but then that's like a number 2 keeper. You wouldn't go like if you want a top 3 Premier League keeper, someone to compete with Alisson.
Raya he had the best save percentage last season. He had best kind of ball playing percentage. I think most clean sheets with David De Gea, but he was up there clean sheet wise. He was a top 3 goalkeeper when we signed him.
Yeah, but he wasn't in a team competing at the top. Where Brentford are going to be conceding more opportunities than Arsenal. He's going to have to do more. Having that concentration throughout a 90-minute game when you're not always active is something that you can't almost teach. Like Alisson or like Edison.
Alisson is quality though.
Even Edison, to be fair to him, I think the second best keeper in the league by a stretch.
But I think he took some time to get there. I don't think he immediately was that. I think Edison had howlers in him for a while.
Yeah, he did make a few mistakes, but Raya's had how many years of Premier League experience?
But like, are we judging him? You can say the same for Onana. He's been at top tier team and then come to United, and we need to give him time to settle in. I think
Onana, we called him out on it. I think Onana was making these mistakes at Inter. He was doing it at Ajax, getting caught on the ball all the time.
Was he doing this at Brentford and we just don't know about it because the spotlight isn't as harsh on Brentford?
Potentially not. But how much as well? Like, does Brentford's like good defensive performances in the past few seasons sort of come into play where he's actually making a lot of saves? He's got like, the best saves, the most saves in the league or whatever, or like a great save percentage. But the like expected goal scoring opportunity is way lower because Brentford are conceding shots from a weaker area, an area where goalkeepers are less likely to concede from. So there's a lot of a deep dive. But for me, on the eye test, it's brought in a lot of insecurity to that team. Arteta's got to back him now. You can't flip-flap round.
I've heard rumours that Ramsdale feels like he's getting forced out because the Arsenal goalkeeping coach is Spanish. Obviously, Raya's Spanish. Arteta's Spanish, so they just converse in Spanish. And Ramsdale isn't feeling as integrated.
Yeah,
Take what you want from that. Right. Tinfoil hat on. So, referees in this country are taking breaks to go out to Saudi and referee out there. That's confirmed.
For a payday.
That's happened. The nation of Saudi Arabia, what team do they own? Newcastle United. These referees want to play or referee in the upcoming Saudi Arabian World Cup. Are they getting a little back pocket deal from the Saudis? Let these decisions go in Newcastle's favour. We'll get you a job at the Saudi World Cup. We'll get you a payday.
I think one of the worst things that ever happened to football was the involvement of Qatari, Saudi, the oil money basically. It brought into question the legitimacy of World Cup bids, how Qatar and then followed by Saudi got World Cup bids, winning World Cup bids. We're going to have another Winter World Cup now.
Yeah, mad.
We gave it, fine, we gave it a chance. Nowhere near as good as Brazil, South Africa, Germany, South Korea, mate. I was about 5 years old for South Korea.
Their only saving grace and what they'll cling on to is the fact that Messi won the World Cup. That's like their main promo piece.
Fine. And like, actually, to be fair to them, really good integration of VAR there. I didn't mind the additional time, the extra 20 minutes we got every game. Yeah. It was fine.
But
there wasn't a vibe around it.
Yeah.
The vibe was so dead. It was a Winter World Cup, mate. We sat at work watching this.
Yeah, that's the deadest part, yeah.
It's on at dead times for like half the world. Your core nations of football, yeah? South America and Central and sort of like Western Europe. You're just completely abandoning them.
Yeah.
And we saw, is it Sepp Blatter who got done for taking backhanded bribes? The secretary the second in charge of FIFA is like a Saudi bloke, isn't he?
Yeah.
So like, where is this coming from?
Guys.
And it's literally just money.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And for your point about referees getting a backhanded pocket, my argument would be, it doesn't matter because it's it'll be FIFA who allocate the referees anyway, and they allocate a certain amount from.
But FIFA are getting backhandies from Saudi.
The geezer who's probably allocating the referees is getting backhandies.
That's what I'm saying. So
there needs to be a clear out, and get people who love football in charge.
I'm totally like I get like you can't abandon core nations, but I'm also totally for nations that haven't got a football heritage getting involved and making football culture their own. But like you said, not in this kind of way that it kind of just reeks of toxicity.
But
Saudi
is less of an egregious bid than Qatar.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because Saudi have qualified for World Cups off their own back.
Yeah.
Saudi have attempted to create a footballing league.
Yeah.
Obviously, massively in the last year, buying all the dead players, but. Where does it stop?
Yeah,
because
it's not even where does it stop. Is where does it start, and that all started from the Qatari bid. The fact that they let Qatar host the World Cup, they just showed that money wins.
But then where does it stop? Because we're hearing shouts of Saudi teams playing in the Champions League. Mate, are you mad? Are you fucking stupid? Like, it's one thing from going from travelling to St. James's Park to, like, even, I don't know, like, playing in...
Azerbaijan or something.
Exactly. To going and playing in Saudi Arabia.
They might be close. I don't know. My geography's pretty bad.
No, but even still, it's completely different. UEFA, yeah? The European Cup.
He's spitting.
Middle East, man. You're different. That's a different genre.
That is a different
genre. Country.
Yeah.
It's tapped.
Shout out Palestine.
Yeah, just... Oh, man. I don't know. Just...
Yeah.
The referees in England stink as well.
They do.
So
Newcastle,
they won't even
giving...
want them because, like, they're just going to stink up and degrade the tournament. So,
but they get backhandy money, and that's what I'm saying.
I like your idea here, but
it's not an idea. It's stone cold facts from your boy, Mr. Mustache.
Right, we spent half an hour waffling about... Actually, not waffling.
That was good.
It was great points.
Yeah, that was good.
Let's quickly talk about another big upset that happened this weekend. Man United won, Fulham 0.
Damn.
No, I'm talking about Luton, Liverpool, really.
Yeah, let's talk about it. We talk about Man United too much recently.
Who, up to the 95th minute, were about to take the scalp of, like,
scalp of the season,
high-flying Liverpool. Mate, this is like the scalp of the decade.
Yeah, mate. Little old Luton.
This is bigger than, like, it's like a big 6 team losing to, like, a League One side in the FA Cup.
100%. This is...
Because the FA Cup, anything can happen. We know that. But this is the Premier League,
This is Premier League. Liverpool put out, minus Andy Robertson, their starting 11, strongest starting 11.
Yeah.
And I think Luton, I was watching this game thinking, I had my bets on, obviously. I had Liverpool to run riot. I had Salah to bag a couple, Darwin Núñez to bag a couple. Luton went toe-to-toe with this Liverpool team. And in my opinion, for, I'd say, over half of the game, were the better team.
Yeah, they didn't really create anything clear-cut.
Clear-cut, no.
They were very good at negating Liverpool.
They negated Liverpool and were consistently catching Liverpool on the counter. Their transition was so good, so aggressive down Liverpool's right-hand side. And I want to talk about him again because we talk about him a lot. Trent Alexander-Arnold was getting targeted. I haven't seen targeting like this since USA went and got Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, mate. Rob Edwards picked his man.
This was a Navy SEAL operation to take down.
How does this happen time and time again? And Klopp has no plan B in game to switch it up. Why didn't he say, right, they're clearly targeting Trent.
Let's bring Endo on,
or push him in field, and they go to a back three,
or even just do that, or take one of the 3 attacking midfielders you've got on the pitch. Take one of them off, bring Endo on, and tell Endo to do what Jordan Henderson and Fabinho did and cover Trent.
Yeah.
Because Ogbene had Trent on toast this whole game.
He was hard done by. He should have won the Ballon d'Or.
Burning him for pace. Was doing Konate as well. Konate I thought was a bit ropey this game. So that entire right-hand side for Liverpool was just getting cooked. And if it wasn't for Alisson, I'd say a good 2 or 3 times, Luton could have been 2 or 3 clear.
Yeah, I thought Issa Kabore is a real good player.
Yeah.
I really like Issa Kabore. I think he's so underrated. He had a really good season in the French league last year. So it's surprising to me when Luton managed to get him on loan from City. I thought he could have gone potentially to a more mid-table team.
Yeah.
Or abroad again.
Yeah.
But for me, he was really good.
He was.
His ball for the Tahith Chong goal is pinpoint. That counter-attack is fantastic. But Liverpool clearly think I think it's maybe a handball in the box.
Oh, yeah, the other end, yeah.
It's not a handball.
No.
But all the players are complaining.
And that comes from the manager.
And Luton, by the time Van Dijk's realised that the game's still playing, Luton are up the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, 3v2, yeah.
Tahith Chong scoring his first Premier League goal, his first goal for Luton. Brilliant.
Another player that I thought was really good, and he was probably extra up for it as an Evertonian, Ross Barkley. I thought he was absolutely washed.
Yeah.
But he had a really good game.
They started the game with Andros Townsend and Ross Barkley.
Yeah, reeks.
That's like Prem from like 10 years ago.
Masters League or something. Yeah. But yeah, I thought he was one of those signings that you just get in to have a bit of experience, but he's just so past it. He was actually running the midfield, very brave on the ball, which is what you need if you're going to take on Liverpool, who press like animals.
I think tactically, Rob Edwards got it spot on.
Yeah, and we said that. We thought he was quite a good manager tactically.
I think Burnley and Sheffield United, their managers wouldn't have done. I think they wouldn't have got it as tactically right as Rob Edwards, who I think is doing a fantastic job with what he has.
Agreed.
And I know you were going to bring up a point about promoted team points.
Oh, yes. Shit.
Do you want it?
Yeah.
Right, so...
Did you see the tweet that I liked? Oh, yeah, I forwarded it to us.
Yeah, I saw you sending up...
Come on.
It's
So,
to our own account. So
we just want to highlight how bad, obviously not the kind of weekend to do it, because Sheffield United got a result and Luton got a result.
Before we talk about this, yeah, you think you're the hard done by VAR. Gary O'Neill should have, like, executions of the team at PGMOL. Back-to-back weekends, he's been on the wrong side of a VAR decision, which meant his team has gone and lost the game. Did they lose against Newcastle? They did, didn't they?
Nah, 2-2.
Oh, it's 2-2, yeah. But they've dropped 3 points against Newcastle and a point against Sheffield United, which, yeah, it is outrageous. I don't understand how they've given that as a penalty. Fabio Silva is fair contestable. He sort of kicks into him. It's terrible. Gary O'Neill, I feel for you, mate.
We love Gary O'Neill.
Yeah, I'm actually the biggest Gary O'Neill fan.
Come on.
Should be the manager of the season last season. Fewest points by promoted teams, 11 games into a Premier League season.
This is just to amplify how bad these three are.
So after yesterday... Oh no, Luton still have played only 10 games, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, Luton played 11 games now. Because they played Burnley midweek, didn't they?
Oh, nice.
In that few weeks ago. So I think they're actually on 14 points. So 2018-19, Wolves, Fulham and Cardiff got a combined 25 points, 11 games into the season.
And that's the third least ever.
That's the third least ever. The second least ever are Leicester, QPR and Burnley in 2014-15.
That's 24 points.
I believe we didn't. We had 2 points.
Come on.
We had 2 points going into the third week of October.
Come on.
Before we beat Sunderland with an Andros Townsend.
What a guy.
An Andros Townsend volley from 30 yards.
That's what he specialises in.
Yeah, I remember that. That was quality. And
that
then
was 25 points and 24 points.
23-24 season.
Right now.
Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United. 13. I think it might be 14 now after last night. 14 combined points, 11 games into the season.
10 points less than the second worst ever. They are half as good as the worst ever.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's bad.
They're minimum 10 points behind. That's... Mate, I don't know what to say. That's poor.
It just it shows the gap is crazy. Obviously, we can talk about how, the other promoted teams... It's normally the 3 best teams in the league or in the championship. But this was the 2 best and then not coming for Luton, but a mid-table side coming up. But even Luton are, I think, donating the most points to that thing anyway. So that point's invalid. It's just, it just kind of shows the levels between the championship and the Prem, the levels of resources, and then kind of actually how bad these 3 are.
So we saw the season before last, we saw Burnley get relegated. We saw...
Watford?
No, I think that was the season where Villa scored, Jack Grealish scored that goal. That was offside.
That was offside. But that was to relegate Watford, no?
Yeah, but I think that was the season before.
Oh.
But it was Burnley, was it Norwich?
Yeah, maybe.
And someone else.
Fulham?
But none of them have gone back up. Because Burnley got relegated, bounced back, and the other 2 teams didn't. We saw Luton and Sheffield United. Or did Sheffield United bounce back at first time? They did as well. So it was Burnley, Sheffield United, and someone else. And I think it was Norwich. But yeah, the championship this season is mad strong. Leicester, Leeds, Southampton. Yeah. They're 3 names who decent Premier League performance. Well. Ipswich flying, drew 2-2 against Birmingham. QPR obviously under Marty Cifuentes.
Come on.
It's going to be a little bit of ball. Ellis Chair back to his best. But yeah, it was nuts. The Premier League, I think Bournemouth are very lucky that there's 3 worst teams in the league at the minute.
Yeah, I agree, because they got absolutely turned over by Man City. I don't want to talk about it because that's just boring. Man City, that good.
I don't want to talk about
4 assists. I don't even want to talk about Man United because we talk about them.
No, let's talk about Nottingham Forest versus Aston Villa.
Yes.
Who saw that coming?
Result of the weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah, mate. Ola Aina, what a signing he's been.
Free transfer, crazy.
Yeah, I just think they were just so good. Sangare in the midfield, he's outrageous.
I was at the WSL watching Arsenal ladies beat Man City ladies, and I had a bet on, as we know, Aston Villa to win, Ollie Watkins to score. keeping an eye on the game, and I had Ollie Watkins in my fantasy team. Keeping an eye on the game. All I saw was the feed going by. Another chance for Nottingham Forest. Another chance for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest are on top, dominating. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Because I thought this was just going to be an absolute domination by from Emery's Aston Villa.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of chances, Villa.
Are they just due one of those stinky games?
Yeah, I think that there's games where if Villa put a couple of the chances away...
Because it wasn't even a rotated team. That's their strongest 11 that went out.
Yeah, I think...
Martinez had
the early goal shook them.
Mm.
They didn't manage to reply quickly, so they sort of settled in. The second goal killed them off.
Yeah.
I think Forest took their chances very well. I think Forest didn't make a lot of chances, but they were such a threat on the counter that Villa wouldn't push players forward.
Yeah.
So they couldn't make use of their spare man. And for me, Steve Cooper, mate.
What a guy. We, Stevie Cooper fans, we thought the Nottingham Forest were struggling a bit this season, but a stat I did see is that points-wise, I think they got one more point.
They're better off this season than they were last season,
at this point last season. So,
and they've got a better squad. I think they've had a harder run in. They had like Arsenal at the beginning of the season.
So I do think onwards and upwards for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I think they'll steer fairly clear of a relegation battle.
And onwards and upwards for BoreDraw, mate. 5,000 subscribers. Thank you for listening to the podcast.
Episode number 70 in the can.
But let us know what you want to do for episode 100. Don't know when that's going to come time-wise, but...
That's like 30 weeks away.
It's flying. It's flying.
That's like middle of next year.
Start of next season.
It probably will be.
Let us know what you want us to do.
Yeah, guys, if you aren't already, like, comment, subscribe, stay up to date with all of our stuff. If you do want to donate to our Movember cause, some Tash for Cash, we will have everything down in the description below. It all goes to a fantastic cause.
It does indeed.
A cause that affects a lot of football fans. But yeah, BoreDraw, mate.